Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Rebecca Ravenbird and today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 dressage updates that I think Star Stable should add into the game. Now this video is inspired by April Purplelight, and she is the founder and owner of Star Stable Dressage, which is the largest community for Star Stable dressage, and so I would definitely recommend checking her out. She does actually have a Google form in which you can put in your suggestions and thoughts for what should be added to the Star Stable Dressage community. So without further ado, let's get into the update suggestions. The first suggestion that I have is what I'm standing on right now, and it is the table. I actually recently saw a video in which the table has been around for 6 years. 6 years, wow, it's incredible. So the thing with the table is that every single club has to get around this table somehow, and they've devised what's called table spacing. So at least for my club, the table spacing we have is right here on this line, and then we also use this line right here. But the thing is, it would just be a whole lot nicer if the table was not here, because it does make the arena uneven, and it's just awkward, and it's not really realistic in the way that it's placed. And if we actually take a look at the camera here, this is not an ideal angle to look at the arena. Yes, it's overhead, but it's at a severe angle. And so in my next update suggestion, I am going to talk about what an ideal angle would be, but I just think this is such an awkward angle, and especially if your club is making circles at X right here, X is this dark circle right here. If your club is making circles, it's actually really not ideal, because this dot right here, where my mouse is pointing, is actually, it looks farther away from this dot right here, even though they're the same distance apart. So it really skews the angle at which you can see your club making circles, and it just makes it more difficult to see if they're doing it correctly. So that is my first update suggestion, which is basically just removing the table entirely and placing it somewhere else. And so going along with that, there are two places where I think we should place the table. Number one should be at C. So I believe in real life dressage, the judges table is at C, and not only is it at the ground level, it is at this letter instead of in a corner. So for the realistic dressage riders, well, the realistic players in this game, I should say, I think the table should be put here. Now I'll get to this in a moment, because obviously you can't put the table here if there's a wall in front of it, but I will get to that in a little bit. But the second place I think we should put the table is actually in the stands. So, and this is going to segue into my next update suggestion here, but I definitely believe we should put the table in the stands, because it is, there's a few reasons. One, because it is more central. If we were to put the table right here, if we were to have the table here, then we could look down straight into the arena like this, and this would be a more equal vantage point. It allows for greater visibility. With this view, it's a bit more realistic. So my next update suggestion is actually something called box view. And what box view is it's basically a literal kind of box that you would put in the middle of the arena. If you think about a football field, there is something called the press box. In the press box, you have the announcers, you have the referees, I guess. I'm not sure exactly who is allowed to go into the press box, but obviously the media team is allowed to go in there as well. But in this press box, you are allowed to walk into it, and you can have a like a bird's eye view of the arena. So again, if we come up here, you can see up top, and you can see directly into the middle of the arena just like this. Or in this case, for a press box in a football field, it would be the middle of the field. With the box view, I think it would be really cool, because people would be able to walk into it, and they could pretend to become announcers and things like that. And it would also offer an additional vantage point, an additional camera view for people who are filming dressage routines for competitions. Okay, so Please don't ban me for this start table. I am doing this glitch just to make a point, but the closest thing we can get to box view is doing this roof glitch thing, where you get onto the roof and you jump into it, and then you end up landing on one of these things. I wasn't able to do it, but this is as close as I can get. But like I said, again, please don't ban me for this. As you can see the entire arena from a much more equal vantage point. So you're not, you know, looking up from an angle here. You can see everybody in the arena here, and you can see this circle. Well, you can see circles a lot easier now because you're seeing it from a more top-down perspective. So again, please don't ban me for this. I am not one to usually do glitches like this, so I'm doing this just to illustrate a point that you can see the arena much better from a central and top-down perspective like this. Okay, so for the next update, we are actually going to head over to Jorvik Stables, and I know a lot of people have been talking about Jorvik Stables as well as the Riding Arena as part of the update, so I will go ahead and see you there. Okay, so here we are at Jorvik Stables, and the first thing that I want to talk about is making sure we have stands to sit in. So obviously these stands right here, they are just for show. And they did make an update with them. I believe the texture and the color of these used to be a lot lighter, but now they've turned them dark brown. But we still can't sit in them. And so there's a whole set of 4 of them right here. Right? Like there's 4 sets of stands. And yet we can't sit in them? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why are they here if we can't sit in them? And we have NPCs that can sit in them during different races and things like that, but we can't sit in them. And the best way to get a higher vantage point is to come up here, right? Come all the way back here and view it like this. Or you could just like straight up jump and do like that or something, but then you run the risk of getting stuck like this. So again, we need to have stands that we can sit in. We need to have stands that we can, you know, actually interact with, and that, you know, if we are like dressage leaders or anything like that, we don't have to worry about getting up on this hill here so that we can look at our club. Okay, as I get out of the back of the stands here, the next update I want them to add for Jorvik Stables is letters. So yeah, this arena is nice and big and it's pretty cool with all of these different sort of entry points right here, but I still think we need to have letters here. During the Jorvik Stables open house there are letters, and the arena itself actually changes, but I don't know, I feel like having letters would be a great option, because even in the riding arena, with the show jumping courses that are in there, they still have letters in that arena, so why not in this arena? So I feel like just adding some letter plates would be really nice to have, and they can even be small too. They can just fit on one of these fence segments here. Okay, the next update I think they should add for Jorvik Stables is arena lines. Now, the arena here does have lines. It does have lines of pebbles and stones and rocks, I guess, but it's much more difficult to see these lines. And in addition, if you're traveling along the long side of the arena, like I am right now, there are no arena lines at all. So you have to really look at the arena lines that are going down the short end of the arena like this. And so I think in addition to adding arena lines that are spanning the long side of the arena here, I think they also need to have greater visibility of these lines as well. Okay, the next update I think they should add for Jorvik Stables is a camera. So I don't know how they would do this at this arena. I feel like having some sort of area where you can look at the camera or have a camera would be great. So something perhaps right here, because this is a nice sort of entranceway, but obviously I don't want it to block this archway here, because I know some clubs actually do use this little hill here as sort of their entrance. So having some sort of camera or table, perhaps right here, not on that box, never mind, but I don't know, just somewhere where we can have a camera so that we are able to actually, you know, look at our club without having to go up on the hill and do weird things. So again, a camera so that we can actually start filming at this arena. I think filming at this arena would be really awesome so that we're not limited to just using the riding arena. And finally, of course, the last update that I want for Jorvik Stables is the visibility buttons. So normally when you go into the riding arena, you do have this little eye button that pops up right here, but unfortunately that option is not available at Jorvik Stables. And at least for the update that came out just this past Wednesday with the Overlook Arena, they do have that visibility button there. So I'm not sure if it's temporary or not, I guess it is, but you can see that they are at least going in the right direction with adding a visibility button in that arena. So we now have two options for doing dressage. Even if that second option at the Overlook Arena is temporary, at least it's there now. So I think the next step is to add it to this arena as well. Okay, so that was just updates for Jorvik stables, but here is the next update suggestion that I want that's, so you know, sort of in a different category. So the next update I want for them to add is different dressage gaits. So right now we are, well, as you can see with my character, I'm just going at the walk, and now I'm going to bring myself up to the trot, the canter, and here is an extended canter or the slow gallop. So here's the thing with the dressage gaits. There are more gaits outside of just the working trot, the working walk, working canter, and so I think it would be really great to have some sort of keyboard shortcut in which we could use collections and extensions. So not only would this be great for realistic dressage, but I feel like for those clubs who really like to do pinwheels as part of their dressage routine, such as I believe Sea Vikings is really good at doing pinwheels, they can use those extensions and collections to help make it a lot easier for those pinwheels to be really successful looking, because with only 3 gates to choose from and the fact that we can't change the speed of those gates, it just makes it really difficult. So again, having keyboard shortcuts to collect or extend our gates would be really awesome. So for example, right now I'm just at the trot right now, so I would perhaps, let's see, make sure I'm at the trot, but then press the E key to extend my trot. And then to release myself or to go back to the working trot, I would just hit the E key again, and that would be really fun. And then, for example, normally the C key, if you were to press the C key right now, it would actually bring up your character sheet and your character stats. But perhaps we could use Shift C, right? We could use Shift C to collect our gates. So I think that would be really cool to have as well. So kind of similar to what I was just saying about the different dressage gates, such as collections and extensions, I think we should also have a variety of moves that we can use as well. So some of these more elite, I guess, or higher level dressage moves include the half pass, the passage, the pirouette, and I would like for them to be available for all dressage horses, which would be like the Andalusian, the Lusitano, Hanoverians, or I don't know, maybe make them a trainable skill so that any horse that you do training with can actually have that skill. Now, I think that would be very difficult to animate and program, but I think that would, you know, in an ideal world, that would be really great to train any horse to do dressage moves. So if you've ever played the game Let's Ride Riding Star, there is a dressage portion of that game. I think it's because it's a 3-day eventing kind of game. You can do all sorts of things with it, but with that game, the idea is you have to ride a certain pathway and do these keyboard shortcuts and do things with your left and right mouse clicks and the positioning of your mouse. So I think having something like that in Star Stable would be really cool, because then we could do special movements like the pirouette that the Frisians now have. We would be able to do that with perhaps dragging our mouse downwards like this and pressing and holding our S key or something like that. And the reason I bring up this kind of update is because I think this kind of update would require players to use more coordination rather than speed. And so these are skills that are, you know, being developed through coordination and practice of the timing of certain keyboard shortcuts. So I think that would be an interesting update to add, because a lot of what we have in terms of competitive activities involve just racing, speed, and jumping. So I really think they should add something that involves coordination, timing, and then combinations of keys and things like that. So similar to what I was just saying about having skills and coordination, I definitely think skill-based races should be added to the game, because like I was saying earlier, a lot of the competitions that we have are just running, jumping, and doing them as fast as you can. So I think what they should add is kind of like the precision riding that they have for the druid training. So with the precision riding, you have to ride in a specific pathway and you have to be well coordinated so that you can stay on that path and not fail the training. So in addition to riding a specific path, I think there should be movements along the way. So for example, you would press, I don't know, Shift D, for example, to do a half pass or something. And then that would be a move along a pathway. I think that would be really cool. And so then they could also add leveled tests. So what I mean by that is there could be a beginner test, an intermediate test, and an advanced dressage test that include increasing level of difficulty of the keyboard shortcuts and various types of moves along the way. So the next update suggestion that I have is an overhead camera, and I think, like, for me personally, this is the biggest update that I believe that Star Stable should have. And so we're going to go back into the stance for a moment, and I had mentioned earlier about the box view, which is, again, a great idea for realistic players and competitive dressage teams so that they can have an alternative camera angle. But if we go back up to the middle here, so let's go back up here, turn around, and then we actually tilt our camera up so we can see the middle of the arena. I believe we should have a camera up here, like on the roof. I think it would be difficult to access, but I think it should at least be an option. So I don't know how they would create a button to say like overhead camera view or something like that, because having an overhead camera view means you get a direct bird's eye view of the arena. So you can see straight down on top of the riders in your club, and I think it would make it so much easier to see whether or not your riders are doing perfect circles or not. So let me go ahead and demonstrate how riders can make perfect circles for a moment so that we can see. But there are certain dots in the arena that a lot of clubs have adapted and learned how to use to create circles. So for example, if we were to make a 5-meter circle, we would start, let's see, here is X right here, and then here's a dot right here. One dot away from X is 5 meters. And so if we find all of the first dots away from the center, we will have our 5-meter circle. Now, because of the perspective of the current camera at the table here, and with the angle of box view not being completely overhead, having a complete overhead camera view so that we can see a perfect circle would be immensely helpful. In addition to having this additional vantage point from the very top of the arena, it just looks so much cleaner because you don't have to worry about a table in the corner or something big and bulky in the middle of the arena like the box view, even though I think that would be a great idea. Having the camera up here would just be completely out of the way and not in anyone's vantage point because no one's really looking at the camera when they're doing dressage. You're looking at your horse and you're looking at the directions that you're turning, so you're not really looking up at the camera, anything like that, when you're actually riding. So that camera view is more for the actual dressage instructors, for them to use. And again, this would offer an additional camera angle for people to film their clubs from. Alrighty, so for the next update, I want to talk about the arena lines. So like I had mentioned earlier with the dots in the arena, there's actually these bright lines here. I know the big club Perfect Tigers uses these lines and they call them quadrant lines. And so while these lines are really nice and they're greatly visible and usable for Perfect Tigers, I believe we should have arena lines that are more like, I'm going to refer to the football field again, lines more like the football field, so that they are much easier to see and they're much straighter. As you can see, this line is a bit wavy here. So the straightness and the visibility of the lines is really important. Additionally, these dots are really helpful as well. So for example, right now this dot is 2 dots away from X, and if I were to ride all of the 2 dots away from X, I would then make a 10-meter circle. Okay, so here's another dot here. And here's another dot here. And then finally I end up on this dot here. So that is my 10-meter circle using 2 dots away from X on each side of the circle, on each wall. I think in addition to making these dots and these lines much more visible and much clearer to see, I think we should have an option to turn on and off arena lines. So for example, if we were to use this I button here, we should also have an option that says turn on or turn off arena lines. Because in a real arena, you will never have dots or lines in them, and you have to, you know, use your eyes very carefully to look at those lines and make the connection from one letter to another letter, for example. Right? You don't have the luxury of having this line to be straight on, you just have to really eyeball it. I think this would be great for realistic players to not have the arena lines and the arena dots here, so that they can just have a plain footing here and that they don't see any of these different shades and textures in the ground necessarily here. But also the fact that the clubs will want that option to have arena lines on and off. So for example, if you're filming your club at the table or on the overhead camera and you don't want the arena lines on, you can turn them off, but your club will keep them on so that they can see those arena lines. So having that option to be able to see arena lines on and off, I think that would be really great for realistic players, as well as the other part of the dressage community, the more drill-oriented dressage community. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is a general arena overhaul. So this arena has looked like this for quite a while. I do know that the stands have been kind of recently added. They didn't used to be here in older footage I used to see on YouTube, but I know these are, you know, relatively new compared to the arena as a whole, but I definitely believe that the entire arena needs an overhaul. So, for example, this is the darkest corner of the arena. I have no idea why it's so dark, but I don't think it should be as dark as the other parts of the arena here. Like, look, it's so bright over here, and yet that corner is just so dark, and there's like almost no reason why. And so this corner over here is pretty dark as well, but it's not as dark as the other corner here with at the M corner. So I don't know, I definitely believe they need to brighten up these corners of the arena. That's one thing. Number two, I believe there should be more seating, like one more row of seating at the very top here. I believe already as it is, there are 72 seats, which is pretty good. But again, I think there should be one more set of seating up at the top here so that more people can just have that option to sit wherever they want. Let's see, another thing that I believe needs to be updated are these doors. What are these doors for? Like, I have no idea what these doors are for, and they do connect to the show jumping arena on the other side, but it's not like we can use them, right? I'm clicking on them, I'm interacting with, well, I'm trying to interact with them, but they're not opening or anything, and there's 2 of them. So there's one here at H, and then there's one down here at K. And to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know why these doors are here. I think it should just be like a solid wall here. And then this isn't really like an update for renovation of this riding hall per se, but I definitely think there should be 2 big riding halls. So this one here, and then technically I believe when you go to the open house at Jorvik Stables and you talk to that one girl who gives you a tour of Jorvik Stables, she does say that the original Jorvik Stables it caught on fire, I believe, and it's no longer being used. But I definitely think that arena should reopen at some point. We should have a quest that will help us reopen that riding arena, or we should just have a separate building just like this, but somewhere else, so that we don't have such a big problem with lag, with so many people in the arena. As you can see, there's quite a few here, but then if we go back to Cookie Canyon, which is my home server, that entire arena is like almost always full, and there's just so many people there, and there's a lot of people here right now too, which is quite interesting. Yeah, it tends to lag so much on Cookie Canyon when there's so many people in the arena at once, and especially big clubs too, like Pink Queen's Legacy, Sea Vikings, just other clubs too. Like, I'm not saying that they're causing the lag, it's just the fact that it's so saturated there, it makes it difficult for riders to be successful at dressage because everyone is lagging. So if we had another arena open, then the saturation wouldn't be as high in each of those arenas. So I think that would be really great so that more people can be successful at dressage and that we can have more options to practice in different areas. So for the last update, we are actually going to be going to Governor's Fall, and we're going to be talking about the clothing options. So the clothing options for dressage are kind of lacking, and I actually do have one of the dressage options here, and I'll just show you right now. It is called the Regal Rider Dressage Jacket, and I really like this. I believe this is technically called a tailcoat. I do think it looks great, but I don't know. I think not only is it expensive, we just need more options for it. So here it is in black, right? So we have the black tailcoat here, and that's what it is. Alright, so here we are at Governor's Fall, and we're going to go ahead and go to the Madame Aspin's. I'm not really sure what the name of this store is, but we're gonna go in here because some of the best clothing options for the dressage kind of clothing are in this shop. So here we have the purple riding blazer. This one looks cool. Stylish competition blazer. Let's go ahead and actually change our camera position here so we can see a little bit better. We do have this jacket here, and I believe there's some other clothing as well. So here we have some top hats here. Let's see. We have some nice boots as well, and some nice elite looking gloves. And then if we actually go ahead and go over to this shop right here, the horse clothing, I believe there's some dressage tack here as well that is very popular. For example, the white saddle pad. Yes, here we go. So we have some higher level looking tack here. Yes, these saddle pads here, these are nearly 100 star coins. And let's see, we have some saddles here. This is 79 star coins. I've bought that one before. Some other bridles, like this Black Governor bridle is almost 100 star coins. This bridle here as well, I've bought this one before, 87 star coins. And these leg wraps here that people tend to buy as well. And then of course, if we actually take a look at the global store, I believe we'll be able to find more clothing items here. So for example, horse gear clothing, I should say. Let's take a look at some of the tops. Yes, so here is a jacket here for 165 star coins. I believe there's a few other options. Yep, here's another one here. And this one is 43 star coins, so that is an option, but it doesn't quite look the same as the tailcoat that I'm wearing. Well, I was wearing earlier, but there's that blazer, and then I think that's about it that's available in global. So yeah, I definitely think we need more options for clothing, more options for tack, and especially in different colors, because even though the in real life dressage competitive community is very how should I say it, very black and white almost, I believe more colors are allowed to be added into it. So I'm not sure. I don't ride anymore, so I don't really know, but yeah, definitely more clothing options, and more clothing options with greater detail I think is really important, because like if we take a look here, this jacket is pretty detailed. I do really like it, but the other jackets just don't quite have the same level of detail. As you can see, the buttons look really nice. We do have the, what is this called? The handkerchief in the pocket. And if we actually take a look at the back here, we also have this part of the jacket that looks good. And yeah, the tails of the jacket themselves, if we look down here, those look good. But yeah, I just think we need more options. Alright everybody, so thank you for watching this video. I really wanted to make this video because I know a lot of the dressage community has been asking for these specific updates, and I wanted to make a video on it because I didn't see a lot of other videos being made about it. A lot of people were just making videos about the top 10 dressage horses, but I haven't really seen this video being made yet. So I really wanted to share this video with all of you in the dressage community and sort of share your thoughts and help amplify your voices a bit. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments below what other updates for dressage that the Star Stable team should definitely add, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on more videos like this. With that being said, I will see you in my next video. Bye!